to decide, I'm ready to go all the time.
The beginning phase of a multi-level marketing company can seem like so much fun. You found a product you love. You have a new support system like you've never had before, and you have the opportunity to earn extra income, including trips, prizes, and even cars. You try not to be overwhelmed by the glamour and excitement and tell yourself you'll take it slow. You're just going to have fun with it after all. Use the product and maybe share it with a few friends too. But somewhere along the way, you become enticed to go a little deeper. Maybe it's the self-help you've been reading, or your teammates telling you you can't fail. Or maybe it's the moving stories told to you by your upline or the top-ranking people in the company who share how they went from broke to financially free. Before you know it, you're taking selfies with products while hiding the label. You make long posts sharing intimate details of your life and how this team, this company has helped you. You begin to add random strangers on social media who look like they could use the product. You attend weekly team calls, trainings, and readily digest anything and everything the company recommends. You believe that this really is a life-changing opportunity, and now you want to help others. And somewhere along the way, you start to talk more about the opportunity than the product. You thought this would be just a
side hustle.
You thought it
Doesn't matter who you are.
If you quit now, you will be missing out on
a vehicle to make all your other dreams a reality.
But what happens when you start to get tired of the hustle? When your spouse begins to resent the time you spend on your phone and not with them? How many times can you tell your kids to go play while mommy builds a better future for the family? There's a remedy for that. It's called toxic positivity, and it shuts you up instantly. Feeling tired? You can sleep when you're dead. Not making a profit? You need to believe in yourself more. Upset with your upline or the company? You need to read more self-help. Feeling stuck? Join another training group. Ready to give up? Remember why you started. On the edge of a nervous breakdown? You need to practice gratitude. You begin to feel the facade start to fade. The selfies and recruitment posts become repetitive. Your upline is not who you thought she was, and the dream becomes an illusion. Your friends and family have distanced themselves, or maybe you distanced yourself from them. You can't remember. Product is starting to pile up, and you're wondering what's wrong with you. But giving up would be failing, right? And you're not a quitter. But wait a minute. Could this be a cult? You feel confused. But darling, the confusion is the point. Having been in the top 1% of 3 different network marketing companies over a period of 5.5 years, in this video, I'm sharing what I saw behind the scenes of the top 1% and some of the icky recruiting tactics, how perfectionism is overrated, and how perfect is not a facade that can be kept for very long.
Welcome back to my channel. Let's take a second to look at June's Journey, who is today's sponsor of this video, my very first sponsor. This is so cool. Thank you so much to June's Journey for sponsoring this video. I truly appreciate it.
June's Journey is a captivating hidden object mystery mobile game set in the 1920s with beautiful, glamorous scenes and a riveting story. This game is super relaxing. I really like this one because it's mellow and I can play it anywhere. One thing you might not know about me is that when I'm not recording anti-MLM videos, I'm watching true crime. I can't get enough true crime, and June's Journey is perfect for me because it's a mystery game where you look for hidden pictures, which are the clues that help you solve certain crimes. I found the game relaxing yet lightly challenging. It's a great tool for self-care and allows you to take time for yourself and improve your sense of observation while having fun. One thing I loved about the game is I got to decorate an estate, so it was fun to make my own little space cute and exactly how I wanted. This game is completely free to download and already has over 3 million downloads with a 4.5 star rating. So make sure to check out June's Journey by clicking the link below in the description box. Now, let's get back to the video.
Oh, this is cringy. I always feel really awkward doing these kind of videos where I like spill secrets from the dark side. Being at the top, you see a lot of things that just ugh. And then like the longer you're away from the MLM industry, the more that these things start to like, I don't know, I guess hindsight is 2020 and you're just like, what happened? So yes, I hope that you are entertained or enlightened by these tips or not tips, tactics that I'm going to expose on the MLM industry. Most of the men who get retired by their spouse, by their wife, who is in the top 1%, most of them start to resent the wife. I don't know how to say it in a nice way. Like there's no way to say it in a nice way. This is really awkward for me. But they start to resent the wife. And I know this because I was in the top 1%. And even though I wasn't married at the time, I didn't bring anybody home. I witnessed it. I witnessed it at retreats I would go to or private events. And it was just kind of awkward. And you'll see these people who retired their husbands constantly posting on social media with like their husband like, oh, family day, we're all going to the beach, like laptop lifestyle, we get to work anywhere, which I didn't realize at the time, but now I'm like, working anywhere can be convenient, but that's also when they say that, they really mean you're going to be working 24/7. So if you go to the beach with your family, you bring your laptop because you're going to be working. So these husbands are, smiling in the pictures, but behind closed doors, it's kind of ugly. It's ugly in the sense that the typical gender roles that happen in a lot of families still today, where the woman does more of the domestic duties, the man is usually the higher earner, which don't even get me started on the gender wage gap. Those roles are kind of reversed when the wife retires the husband, and the man is taking on more of the duties around the home, the domestic duties, which is totally fine. My husband and I don't have children, but we do the domestic duties equally, and we're constantly like trading off things. Like 1 week he's cooking because I'm busier, or vice versa. I'm doing all the dinners for the week because he's busier. It's not a big deal, but to some people it is a big deal. And I felt that a lot of these husbands felt emasculated and like they missed working, even though they might not have necessarily missed like having a boss that they had to wake up and go into and report to every day. They just missed that sense of, I guess, purpose and direction where they were the breadwinner and the wife, didn't make all the bacon and they didn't have to do a lot of the domestic duties. Because here's the thing, like I had an assistant when I was in the top 1%, because you get busier and busier and you have a huge team of people that you're having to help and report to, as well as continuing to build your team and selling product and running training courses and running courses or groups for your customers, things like that. And it's crazy. Like it gets so exhausting. So I had a part-time, very, very part-time assistant, and I would see like the people at the very top, like the millionaires, they had assistants, and like their assistants had assistants, but yet they were still always working. That's one of the reasons I walked away, because To me, stress success is not worth it. Like you're, I've said this a million times, but you're just at the top, like it's not all sunshine and rainbows, like that influencer lifestyle tries to make you believe. So yeah, so I've seen the husbands, I know I've ranted a lot right here, but I've seen a lot of the husbands resent their wives after bringing them home. Not because they brought them home, but just because they hate that those roles have reversed and now they're taking care of the kids more and cooking more of the meals. And then they're being portrayed like that on social media a lot of the time too. I mean, you're supposed to say in network marketing that, oh, it's our team, it's our business. We were taught that when I was in an MLM, was at the trainings, the CEOs and their right-hand people would be on stage telling us, make sure that when you are talking to your spouse about your business, you say it's our business. You say it's our team, because you want to make them feel on board, because it's all about getting your spouse on board, because if he or she isn't on board, that looks really bad. And if you missed the interview I did with Roberta Blevins from LuLaRoe, who was featured in the Vice documentary, she's an ex-LuLaRoe distributor, and she was pretty up there too. The CEO actually told her to go find herself a LuLaRoe husband, because her husband was just like not loving her business. She was constantly packaging orders, she was constantly taking orders. If you're working the business how they want you to, you're exhausted, like you're running ragged, and he just wasn't on board. And they literally told her, go find yourself a LuLaRoe husband. And that's the mindset. And even if they don't always say that, like go find yourself a new husband, it's implied, sis. It's implied. And even if I'm being completely honest, when I left the MLM world, there were times when, because it's hard, like I've talked before about how it's like a slow burn when you leave the MLM industry. It's not just a big decision of like, okay, I'm done, I'm gone, and like in and out, and you just get out. For some people maybe, but for myself and for what it seems like the majority of the people I've known in the MLM industry, it is excruciating, like leaving the MLM world after you've been in really deep, because you have friends there, you have a community, and you've also been brainwashed to think that if you walk away from your MLM, you're a failure and you're completely guilty. When I did leave, I remember thinking like, well, maybe there will be some companies that I find that I can look into that are decent, that aren't like all these other companies I've been a part of, you know, and I just kept like, my mind just kept thinking that, like, and even though inside I knew like, girl, like they're all shady as hell. But while I was thinking that and contemplating joining a new company before I was like strictly anti-MLM, I had this thought in my head and I was just super worried about it. I was thinking to myself, I'm married now, and if I get back into an MLM, I know how hard it is to build an MLM to where you're making decent money, like just a living wage, even though at times I made more than that, but it's hard work. It's very hard work. And I just started thinking to myself, what stress is that going to put on my husband? Like, I don't want to put that stress on my husband, because I knew the stress that it causes relationships, because I had boyfriends when I was in an MLM, and like I said, I saw the husbands and the boyfriends of other top people they hated it. And so I got nervous. I was just like, I don't want to put my husband under that stress. I don't want it to cause grief in our relationship. And fortunately, I found the anti-MLM community and now here I am. But it is very stressful on people and the relationships. And when they retire somebody and bring them home, it's not all sunshines and roses. Like, working from home is not a walk in the park. I mean, there's downsides and upsides to everything, right? But being at home 24/7 with your spouse who all of a sudden like isn't working and you're doing all the work, that's a very strange dynamic. And a lot of the MLMs end up imploding anyway. They implode and then they implode on themselves, and then like the spouse has to go back to work. I can't tell you how many times I've seen that, where they brought a spouse home and they were like made a big show about it and they're all excited, and you know, because that's a big thing. Like the MLM wants you. If you're able to do that, they want you to be able to promote that and say like, join my team. Look what I've been able to do. I mean, they want you to do that if you can pay for like a $5 Starbucks drink. Okay, of course they want you to promote bringing your spouse home. But I've seen them have to go back to work and they were embarrassed about it. They tried to keep it like hush hush. It's not pretty behind the curtain, at the top or the bottom. It's not pretty. So one tactic that a lot of MLMs teach their reps to use is to say, my team did $1 million in sales this year. We're headed to the top. I'm so proud of them. We've sold $1 million. Yeah. Or we did $1 million in sales. What that really means is that the distributors bought $1 million worth from the company and they have it in their possession. It doesn't mean that they've actually sold it to customers. So there's some MLMs where you don't have to buy inventory, and then there are MLMs where you do have to buy inventory. I've been in both. And in the ones where you have to buy inventory, which by the way, not buying inventory doesn't make the MLM any less predatory. I promise you, they're still just as predatory. But in the MLMs where you have to buy inventory, they encourage front loading. They don't say you have to, but they encourage front loading where you buy enough product so you have it on hand to sell, because you can't sell what you don't have, right? So a lot of them will say, oh my gosh, my team did 100 million in sales or $1 million in sales. I love them so much, yada, yada. And then the upline of that team, the team who bought $1 million worth of product from the company and could have it piling up in their garage, that upline earns all these trips and all these awards and accolades because that person's team did so well. But this is how people end up with product in their garage. And then those people are encouraged to say, oh my gosh, my team did 100 million in sales or whatever. And oh my gosh, I'm so happy. I love this company. Join my team. It's another recruiting tactic they use to get people in, when really it just means that they could have product piling up. And for a cosmetic company that I was a part of, a skincare and cosmetics company, we at checkout had to check. We had to spend $450 a month minimum on product. And when we were checking out, this is a loophole that the MLM companies use so that it protects themselves, because remember, they are their own entity and you are your own entity as a 1099 contract worker. And this is why all these MLM hunts love to say, I am my own business owner, because legally the laws here suck, and they actually are. They are their own business owner as a 1099 contract worker, which also means that all the burden, all the responsibility of everything falls on them. If they make a claim about a product that maybe they heard in passing from the CEO or from a training, and that claim is not factual, or that claim is supporting something that the FTC or the FDA doesn't allow, guess what? Guess who's going to get sued? Guess who's going to get reprimanded? Guess who could get taken to court? Not the company, you as the 1099 contract worker. That's why these things are so dangerous. So this loophole with this cosmetics and skincare company that I was a part of is when you go to check out, they will not let you place your order unless you click a box, you check a checkmark box that says, I hereby certify that I have sold 70% of this order. But they won't let you buy it if you haven't sold it yet. But if you don't buy that product and remain under active status, because in an MLM, to remain active, to be considered active and to receive your paycheck, you have to buy product. That's how you remain active. And you have to buy a certain amount of PV, volume, every month to stay active. And if you don't buy that, then you don't get paid. But if you haven't made the 70% sold yet, then wait a minute, then maybe you shouldn't check that. But if you don't check that and you don't buy that, then you're not gonna get paid. Okay, I'm just gonna check it and I'm gonna buy it. Like, hello? What a horrible loophole that these companies have. It's sinister, and that's why I encourage anybody who's had a negative experience with these companies to report it to the ftc.gov, because it doesn't matter if you don't have tons of mounting evidence, or maybe you only lost $20, go report it, because once the FTC gets so many similar stories about a specific company, they take action. But they don't hear the stories if we don't report them. These are just some sick practices that they use with the whole term of oh my gosh, my team sold $1 million in sales. Nope, honey, this is why we say an MLM's best customers are its distributors. So this one is like really bothersome to me. It really bothers me, and it makes me really cringe and worried that I ever even like considered this type of mindset. So in the MLM world and the life coaching world, which I got into for maybe like 8 months maybe, when I was leaving an MLM, because you've probably noticed, if you've been a part of an MLM for a good amount of time, you might notice like so many of the people who leave become life coaches or business coaches. And there's this mindset that I noticed in the MLM industry and the life and business coaching industry, and that is, it doesn't matter if your house is falling apart and the money that you have in savings is to fix and repair your house. Maybe your roof is ripped off. You need to take that money and you need to invest it in yourself, in your dreams, for your business, because if you don't, then you're not showing the universe that you're serious enough, and therefore you're not going to get back anything good in your life. So you need to take that money and invest it in this business so you can start your own business, because think about where you'll be in like 3 to 6 months for making this investment for yourself, for putting yourself first. Like, yes, you have these funds that are, you know, your only little savings to be able to help you in a time of emergency. But what about when that runs out? What if you didn't do this course or this program or buy this product or join this team? Then what? You're going to just be completely out. So imagine where you could go in the future to gain financial freedom if you just put down this amount of money to do this. You have to think about your vision. You have to think about your future. That's what you always hear. And if you don't have the money in savings, you're taught to put it on a credit card, or to ask your family for a loan, or even your friends. Like, there is no room in an MLM or mindset or the life coaching industry where you shouldn't just like not find the money. Like, you need to find the money anyway, anyhow. And that's a really sick mindset, and it's really sad because it puts people deep into debt, and it makes them also feel guilty if they don't put it on a credit card or if they don't use that money from their savings. It makes them feel terrible as a person, because we want to believe in ourselves, right? We want more confidence. We want to help our future self succeed, and we want to help our family, right? So if we don't do that, then are we a failure? Are we a bad person? So that's one of the tactics they love to use. And to me, it's just like, it's one of the worst. But there are so many bad ones. I got a comment from somebody who said something like, I just have fun with it. I don't cold message people. I just have fun with it. You took the MLM industry too seriously, yada, yada. Like, people just need to get in and just have fun with it. And I'm like, oh my God, just like, no, I said the same thing. I thought I was one of those people who would just get in and not take it too seriously. Just like, I like the product. Let's just see where it went, right? Like, let's just see where it went. I had no idea that I would quit my job to work full-time doing that from home and be in that industry for almost 6 years. I had that was never my intent going into it, ever. So when people say those things, oh my gosh, it makes me cringe. It worries me, because I'm just like, whoo, that was me. That was my mindset. And I never knew that, like, when I was in it and when I thought it was good, or when I thought that like there actually could be true financial freedom built from this, because they always like to say like, oh, this company is going to let me will this company to my children. Give me a break. And let's keep that in mind. Like, think about companies that have been around, that like a few of them since like the 80s. I haven't ever heard, and I've seen a lot in the MLM industry, I have never heard anybody say, oh yeah, my mom or my grandma willed this company to me. Because it just never happened. Like, they say that you can do that. Like, one company I was in said that you could will it to your kids. It's not gonna happen. They will find a way to kick you out, or if you slow down, like I did, the company will start harassing you and make you quit. That's what happened to me in my very last one. I was like taking a break, and I was like, I just need some time to like figure out what I'm gonna do. And the company started harassing me via email, and they like were sending me all these messages saying, with screenshots from my Facebook that were like a year and a half old. Like, somebody was going way back through my Facebook to find these things, and they were like, this wording here is out of compliance. You need to change this or delete the post. I was like, okay. So I would delete it. And then a few days later, I'd get another email from them saying the same thing about a different post from like a year and a half ago. And it was the same thing, like, you need to delete this wording or change it. Like, this is out of compliance, and there can be consequences. And I was like, what is going on here? And then I realized my upline, who I had said, like, I was like taking a break, like I was not in a good place. I was having panic attacks from all the stress of being in the company and being probably in the MLM industry for that long. And I was like, I just need time. So I wasn't really working the business. I was like, I just need a break. Well, I found out that month that I started receiving all those emails from the company, that month they were doing a special promotion where you would earn like double of whatever your team made. Like, it was something like that. Like, the bonuses you got would be doubled on all of your levels below you. But it had to be like you're personally sponsored. So it like, which means the people that you signed up personally, not necessarily like, I don't know, it was confusing. Ugh. And so I realized that she was trying to get me to quit so that my people would become hers and she would make more money on those bonuses. And so that was like a big hunch of mine. So I believe it was her, my upline at the time, they don't like when you take a break. They don't like when you slow down for a second. But oh my God, you're not a robot. You're a human being. You know, like, you can't keep going 100 miles an hour. You better believe that whatever speed you've gone at like your hardest, your highest, your fastest, you better maintain that speed, because if you slow down, you're going to be looked at negatively. And that's what happened to me. And so my upline like basically sold me out. She wanted my people so that she could get the extra bonuses. And when I realized what was going on, when I put two and two together, because I was like, the company isn't going to be scrolling back through a year, 2 years of my Facebook. Like, they're not going to take the time to do that. They don't care. It's somebody sending them these screenshots. And I put two and two together, and I was just like, you know what? Screw this. So after so many emails harassing me from the company compliance, I just like emailed them back, and I was like, I want to terminate my distributorship as a 1099 contractor. Please terminate my account effective immediately. My children, forgive them. I told them I was recording today. So I just told them I was done. And I instantly got an email back that was like, okay, thank you for your time. We have terminated your account effective immediately. I mean, it was so quick I got an email back from them. I had never got an email back from that company that fast. Ever. And I had emailed them about several things throughout my almost 2 years in their company. So it just left a bad taste in my mouth. But you know what? Like, this is not an abnormal story. I can't tell you how many companies I have seen go after their top distributors, whether that person decides to leave. Like, I have seen companies sue them. I have seen companies like go after their number one people just because they decide to leave or something like that. It's dirty what goes on behind the scenes. So that was the last company I worked, and the one that did that to me. And I had already seen enough by that point. I couldn't do it. So yeah, that's one of the horror stories that I had from being in an MLM. There are many horror stories. But that one, I was just like, the pettiness of it, right? Like the pettiness, the mean girl attitude of it. I was like, really? Y'all gonna scroll back in my timeline that long ago to be like that desperate to find some little word that was out of compliance, and now you want to take action on me when like, it was just that pettiness. I was like, screw y'all, I do not need this. Like, y'all have caused me enough stress, I'm done. So once you join a network marketing company and you get in and you're trying to make sales for whatever the product is or service, after a while, you'll start noticing that the only way to make the real money in an MLM is to recruit. I remember specifically asking my upline, like, how can I earn more money? And she was like, well, the real money comes from building a team. And so I was like, okay, well, how do I do that? And distributors are encouraged to join Facebook groups of like-minded people. So if you are a mother, you are encouraged to join all these mom groups. Or if you believe in like the flat earth theory, you're encouraged to join all these flat earther groups and just find groups of like-minded people so that you can then form them. So you get involved in their conversations in the group and then you form them, which means you talk to them first about their family, then their occupation, then their recreation, then you go in for the kill and message them. So another thing that's really problematic in the MLM world is that consent really isn't a thing. They encourage, there's a saying that a no is never a no, it's just a not right now. That's a big thing in the MLM world, and they teach that at all their sales trainings, at their seminars, at their conference. There's even a book, I believe, called like Go for No, a self-help book, and they encourage you to get as many no's as possible. And because in marketing, I think that it takes like 7 times for a consumer to, or a possible consumer to see something 7 times before they actually buy. That is why they encourage this mindset. And as women, it's disgusting. Like, and as men too, like, hello. But especially as women, I mean, who are many of the victims, unfortunately, of that type of mindset, it's horrible that they're just constantly putting that into our heads. Yeah, I mean, you are told that when somebody says no to you, that you need to message them again. You need to basically put them in a rotating like CRM and follow up with them eventually. So yeah, if you get tired of like the same person messaging you all the time, even when you don't reply, that's why. It's encouraged, because they think that if they hear no so many times from you, that eventually they'll wear you down and you'll say yes. So icky. So there's a thing in, I just feel so icky talking about all of this. Like, it's just gross. So if you see me like fidgeting and like touching my hair or whatever, that's why. I just feel icky. But there's a thing in the MLM industry that is called the law of attraction. And it's not actually an MLM thing. No. The law of attraction was basically made big by this film, this horrible, sketchy, low budget film.
Thoughts are sending out that magnetic signal that is drawing the parallel back to you. See yourself living in abundance and you will attract it. It always works. It works every time with every person.
Oprah even featured it on her show. It basically says that everything that's happened to you in your life, you've attracted, which is a horrible, horrible mindset. And basically, like, if you don't have the things you want in your life now, it's only because of your mindset and what you've attracted to you. It makes me so mad, because if you think, like, at the time I didn't really think much about it. I was like, okay, like, I remember when I was first told about the law of attraction, I was like, this is BS, like, this is horrible. Like, I turned on the film because somebody in the MLM world was like, you need to watch this, you need to watch The Secret. So I turned it on, and then I was like, this is really bougie, like, I don't know about this is not my thing. And I turned it off maybe only 5 minutes in. I was not about it. And then somehow, maybe like a year in or a year and a half in, after I had like a lot of that programming done in the MLM world, and after I had like probably like went part-time at my job or quit my job at that time, I watched it again and I turned it back on again, and I watched the whole thing and I was like, oh my God, I get it. It's so embarrassing. But it was just like, yes, the law of attraction, like, yes, you got to put in the work, but you also have to believe, and if you just believe, like, the universe will respond to you. And now I hate that entire mindset. Like, that's just so stupid. And honestly, half of my family lives in Kenya, in freaking Africa. And there are people in other countries who are starving and horrible. They don't have the privilege that we have here in the US or in a developed country. And you can't say that those people are in the position that they're in because they willed that to them or to themselves, because that they didn't think hard enough, that they didn't use the law of attraction, and that it's their negative mindset that has put them where they are. That's complete BS. But the sacred science community, the mystical science, all these people who believe in this stuff, they use this as a form of manipulation. And the manipulation is to keep you in the MLM longer because, well, you don't want to quit, right? Because then if you quit, the universe is going to see that you're a quitter, that you're failing, that you're negative. And then what are you going to get back from that? So don't do that. It'll be really bad for you. And they like scare you into this mindset because you don't want bad things to happen to you, of course. And you want the universe to think that you're a positive person, so you'll get back positivity and wealth and yada yada, because you gotta have a wealth mindset. But here's the real truth. In network marketing, there's a saying that gets passed around all the time and completely negates the whole law of attraction, which is your network is your net worth. Your network is your net worth. So basically, everybody you know, you need to make a lot of money off them and just use them for dollar bills. But so it completely negates the law of attraction. And I've had people in the comments of my video say like, well, what made you so special? How did you do it? How did you get to the top 1%? And I'm straight up honest. Like, I had a bigger network than the average person. I was a hairstylist who was booked 6 months ahead. And I also, I had done a Facebook page back before everybody had pages, back in 2013, just to like hold myself accountable to losing weight. It was like my weight loss page, which now there are tons of them, but at the time there wasn't. And I built up thousands of followers through that. And I had a bigger network. So that's all it is. It's all about the size of your network. If you failed in network marketing, technically, I'm considered a failure, right? Because I walked away from the industry. If we failed in network marketing, it's only because we didn't believe. No, it's such BS. It's just because your network wasn't bigger. And that's why the top 1%, what they don't tell you, and even I had to do this, is once you get up higher and higher, you're eventually going to run out of your market, your warm market. And that's when they're like, oh, you gotta get into your cold market. Well, how do you get into that? You gotta find leads, right? So how do you find leads? You find leads through running ads and doing all this stuff that they don't warn you about in the beginning, and they know not to warn you about because they want to give you bite-sized digestible pieces so that you don't run screaming away, screaming, it's a cult. So don't fall for it. I'm sorry if anybody believes in the law of attraction and if they're offended by what I said. I think that the law of attraction has some good undertones in it, to think positively, put in the work. But when you're told to think positively over and over in response to shutting down negative emotions that are natural, that are part of the human experience, in an effort to get you to not trust your gut instinct, that's manipulation. Plain and simple. That's all it is. Most multi-level marketers love to talk about ground floor opportunity. If they join a new company, it means, oh, this is the ground floor opportunity. You get to get in when it's just being built. Think about all the money you can make because everybody that comes in after is going to be beneath you and yada yada. What people don't realize is that I think it's 95% of new network marketing companies fail in their first, it's 1 year or 5 years. It's a relatively short time, and you've spent all this time building a business for the network marketing company to just go, poof, we're done with you. Pretty much, which is what, I'm not supposed to say names in this video, but a certain company that was a health and fitness company, they just poof up, and their distributors were left in the place after years of building a business, and they had been in longer than 5 years. That's what MLMs can do. They can just shut down on you, and there's nothing that you can do about it because you're not an employee, you're a 1099 contractor, so you can't even file for unemployment or anything like that. But the ground floor opportunity, when you have so many companies that shut down so soon, or it's such a high attrition rate, it's a bogus claim. It's really not going to make you money they say it will. It's just a recruiting tactic. I want to give a comment shout out to Miss Cassidy, who commented on my last video, and she said, I used to think of MLMs as annoying, but never realized how damaging they were. I made a Facebook post that I wouldn't normally make a few days ago and spoke on my mental health throughout the pandemic and struggle with body image. I spoke about how I have started skating, which led to a new group of friends, better body image, and work ethic. I immediately was solicited an amazing opportunity with references to my post. For the first time, I realized how incredibly predatory it was. Funny enough, she claimed she had been watching my post for a while, but the post right before this one was a link to an anti-MLM video. So she obviously wasn't watching her post. She ended it with, yikes. Girl, thank you for your comment. And yeah, like that's the thing. Like they're so predatory. And like when people don't know it, like I'm like that freak who's like, have you heard about this? Like, you need to know. Don't ever join one of these. Like, and when people are just like, it's like not that big of a deal. Like, just don't be a snake oil salesman. Like, it's not that big of a deal. I'm like, no, it's a big deal. Like, these companies are so predatory and they train people to be predatory like that. Like, it's really bad. Run, run. Anyways, thanks for the comment. I loved it. I hope that this video was, I don't know, entertaining, enlightening. Maybe you could relate. Whatever. If you want to subscribe, feel free to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.